Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Cereal at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this video from the Blue Room, I want to show you guys this stack of Star Wars paperbacks that I grabbed from my local thrift store. And I've got a lot of questions about the next thrift store video, and unfortunately, outside of these books that I'm about to show you guys, there's not much happening at my thrift stores right now. I've also got a lot of questions about the next Star Wars bookshelf video where I examine stories, novels from the Star Wars expanded universe. That's been a big hit with you guys. A lot of you have given me positive feedback about that. And that video is coming. But in the meantime, maybe this will be kind of an appetizer, a crossroads of thrift store and Star Wars bookshelf. So with that being said, I want to jump right into these. Most of these are new to me. I've never read them. Some of them I've never even heard of, but we'll talk about it in a second. So first, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Now this is the adaptation of the video game that came out, it was after the prequels. And I know that some of us Star Wars fans that have been around for a long time, the video game, The Force Unleashed, felt kind of like a return to form. It had Vader in it, had a lot of lightsaber stuff, force powers, had crazy force powers, to be perfectly honest with you. There's this part of the game where you use the force to pull down a Star Destroyer. Crazy stuff, like exaggerated stuff, but it was a lot of fun. And for those of you who were around in the 90s, to me, The Force Unleashed kind of felt like Shadows of the Empire felt. There was a Nintendo 64 game for Shadows of the Empire. It was an event. It was more Star Wars, and it felt big. A lot of people were talking about it. So this is, I guess, the official story. I think there's a few different ways you can go in The Force Unleashed. This is the official story. And so I've never read it. I'm excited to check it out. And then on the heels of that comes The Force Unleashed 2, which honestly, I don't think I played this game for all the prestige that was behind the first one. I think the second one kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. But I guess this is the official novelization. By the way, both of these are written by Sean Williams. And so have you guys read these? And if so, better than the game? Cool companion to the game? What do you think? Here's Star Wars Tarkin. Now I have this in a compendium edition with another book that takes place during Star Wars Rebels, I believe it is, but I never got to Tarkin. And this is obviously Grand Moff Tarkin, as played in A New Hope Episode 4 by Peter Cushing, who you guys know is one of my favorite actors. Hammer, Star Wars. Love Peter Cushing. He was Doctor Who. Not on TV, but in the Amicus films. So I love Tarkin. Now I love Tarkin more than ever because of the Peter Cushing connection. Of course, they brought him back in Rogue One as a completely CGI character. But this is kind of a more exploration of Tarkin. And whereas these two books are legends, this takes place after the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm. So this is, I guess, technically considered canon for those of us that think that means anything, because it's only canon until it's not convenient anymore, and then they'll just wipe it out. That's not the point anyway. The point is just to have a good time reading some Star Wars stories, right? So the next one is the Kenobi novel. Now this was a big deal. This is now also a Legends, but when this came out, this was touted as basically the story of Obi-Wan while he's on Tatooine guarding Luke. So between episode 3 and episode 4, kind of like filling in that detail. And it was a big deal because this had been off limits. Like one of Lucasfilm's dictates was that the period with Obi-Wan, all the stuff between episode 3 and 4 was off limits. Weren't allowed to explore it. But they finally got the green light for this book. And I read part of it. I don't think I ever finished this. I had an ebook for this. And I don't remember. That might be why I never finished it, because I'm all about the tangible. You guys know that. But people love this book. And I suspect, the thing about Legends is these are all the things that were in canon before the Disney buyout. And if you look at the movies and you pay attention, if you've read a lot of the expanded universe, you know that a lot of these movies you can kind of relate back to, well, that's kind of like what happened in that book. Even things in like The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, there are things that happen in those movies that feel like kind of distorted echoes of things that happen in the books 10, 20, 25 years ago. So it's very interesting. So what I was going to say is I believe that if a Kenobi miniseries or a movie ever shows up, I think if we see Kenobi, I think it will probably be on the Disney Plus service once they launch that streaming service. I think they're looking for some high-profile A-list content. We got The Mandalorian coming, some things like that. But I would not be surprised to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus starring Ewan McGregor. And if we do, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the plot points from this are in that show. Just speculation, but that's what I think. Okay, this is one, I don't know what this is. This is Star Wars The Last Jedi. It says it takes place after Order 66, and Order 66 has all but exterminated the Jedi. The few remaining have been driven into exile or hiding, but not Jax Pavan, who has been steadily striking blows against the Empire as a lone guerrilla fighter, and so on. So it's the story of this Jedi after Order 66 trying to survive, having to go underground. Sounds cool. It's written by Michael Reeves and Maya Catherine Bonhoff. Now, I know Michael Reeves. I'm not familiar with the other writer. By the way, this is John Jackson Miller, who's a fantastic author. Both novels, prose, and comics. John Jackson Miller's been doing this for a long time. He really knows Star Wars, too. And Star Trek. He also dabbles with Trek as well. Here's another Legends novel, Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void. Again, never even heard of it. This is all from after I left reading Star Wars books. What year was this printed? This was 2014. So this was like right up, creeping up on that Lucasfilm, the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm. Let's see. So at the feet of the masters of the ancient Jedi Order. Okay, this looks like it's going, Dawn of the Jedi. I'm guessing this is going back into the history of the Jedi, which is very cool. Tim Lebbon. What do you guys, have you read it? Do you know anything about it? What do you think? We have two more. I want to save the best for last. Lost Tribe of the Sith, The Collected Stories. Now, if memory serves, The Lost Tribe of the Sith was a series of ebooks that did eventually, I think they got reprinted chapter by chapter at the end of other paperbacks. So like when, say Tarkin was printed in hardcover, and then when it got a paperback release, I don't know specifically about Tarkin, but these books, when they got a paperback release, sometimes they'd have a chapter of Lost Tribe of the Sith. But I believe it was only concluded in ebook, or maybe... Anyway, this is the collected edition of the entire story with the conclusion. It says more than 100 pages of new material. So this is John Jackson Miller, again, fleshing out those stories, I guess expanding it. This is a lengthy book. This is over 400 pages long. So I'm all about the Sith. I'm all about the history. Listen, whether it's canon or not, I love the backstory of like learning more about the Jedi, learning more about the Sith, all the stuff that was in the comics at the time. Exar Kun, if you guys read, here I'm getting into bookshelf stuff, Star Wars bookshelf. Stay tuned. That's the kind of stuff we get into, is really into the lore, into the mythology of the Star Wars universe itself. Now, the last. I said I was saving the best for last. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, yeah, Darth Plagueis. I don't have this. At least I don't think I have this. No, you know what I have? I have Darth Bane. Darth Plagueis is the one. Again, it's Legends now, but when it came out, it was like the apprenticeship of Palpatine at the... You guys know the scene in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, do you... I don't remember the exact line, but he's like, are you familiar with the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And then he's like trying to lure Anakin. It happens at the opera where there's like this little thing like going around in this bubble of water. He's like, did you ever hear the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? So it's kind of the backstory of Palpatine. And it was, for a few years, it was like everyone was talking about it. It was the be-all, end-all Star Wars novel. Then, of course, the buyout. It's like, nope, that didn't happen. But I've never read it. I've been aware of it. I just never read it. And so this was my opportunity to grab it and pick it up. And I know for a fact that this is one of the most respected, highly recommended of any of the Star Wars books. So this is probably priority number one when I start reading these. It's a lengthy book. It's 462 pages. So I'm excited about it. It's a shame, it's a shame that we have to put labels like Legends on some of this stuff, because obviously none of it's real. And continuity, as I said earlier in the video, continuity is only continuity until it's not convenient, at which point they're just going to wipe that away. So I don't know. So guys, thanks for hanging out with me talking about some Star Wars books. Maybe this will tide us all over until the next Star Wars bookshelf when we can take a deep dive into the continuity of the expanded universe. Have you guys read any of these? What do you think about them? What should go to the top of the list? What should go to the bottom of the list? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for hanging out during this video. I appreciate you so very much. Until next time, I will catch you later.